chaos in the morning is amazing. Technical difficulties are like scary sometimes.
We're up and running, baby.
All right. Well, welcome to the morning's chaos of us trying to get logged in and everything. Welcome to Elite Ageless Mindset. I'm Nick Best, and this is John Andersen, and we are live.
That's it. We're here every week, and we were scrambling to get on in time. There was a little technical difficulty, but we made it. And we're here every week to share with you guys how we do what we do. Shit, we've been doing this 40 years plus each, and this is like a reset for everybody. Nick and myself included. This is Sunday. This is where we lock and load for the week. Get everything ready to rock. You know, we're here every week with this live stream, excuse me. And this is free. We're just talking. You guys can soak up all this knowledge, but if you don't want to take a step further, click the link below. You'll see we got a really, really affordable coaching scenario that Nick and I had. And we do it for you guys. It's very affordable because we want to be helpful to those of you that are struggling in this economy, which is a little tough for some. And, you know, we want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. So that being said, it even has a 7-day free trial. So anyway, that being said, you know, we're going to talk like we always do, some really cool shit.
Yeah.
And bro, I think that today we just got to go right with the fact that, you know, getting logged in to do this for everyone did not go as planned, but we stuck with it and we made it right by the skin of our chins. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. So many people, when things don't go right, it's almost like something clicks in their head. Oh, everything's fucked up. And then it just keeps going. And I think that right there, I used to have that trigger, like with my diet. If I made one mistake, I would just fucking slide off the edge of the earth and just eat garbage all fucking day. So I think that's something we really got to discuss. We can all really focus on, we can struggle, we can make a mistake, and we just keep moving forward.
Right. And, you know, that's a massive thing that's going to help you a lot in everything that you do in life, just in general, because not everything's going to go perfect. And still holding your head together and stuff like that. I've seen several elite competitors have that issue. Like something doesn't go quite right. Instead of fighting harder and getting back into the groove and getting back to what got them there in the first place, they kind of like fall apart, even though they're strong enough to probably still make the top 3, even for making one mistake. And it's like they don't have the mental fortitude to just go, okay, well, I have to accept the things that we can't change and then deal with all the things that we can and then move forwards. And it's go ahead.
You know, on that level, it's like what you said is so true, brother. And it's what I like to remind myself is this is like a muscle in our brains. We train our muscles so our muscles will react favorably to what we want them to, right?
To the stimulus.
Well, when we mentally react positively to adversity, that's just the way we do it. But we have to practice that basically response. Because you think about it, there's people respond or they react. Something goes wrong, they react, they go, fuck, that used to be me. Reaction is just this fucking emotional decision. You know, usually doesn't make a lot of sense looking back. That's a reaction. Or you can respond, stay calm, realize what's going on, keep moving forward. And then you realize, holy shit, this really wasn't a problem. Like we were here on time. Didn't look like we were going to be, but there was no problem. Well, but if we reacted in a way that didn't favor us, we would have had a problem.
Correct. We'd be panicking right now and not being able to talk and being upset and angry and everything else. And the thing is if you control the controllables, and understand that, you know, okay, we missed it by 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 20 seconds. Okay. Did the world come to a screeching halt? No, it's going to keep turning. The sun is going to come up tomorrow. Everything's going to keep going on. You want to get to close to the optimal starting time as we had today, but we can't control what the internet does and what our Wi-Fi services or cable services have for the broadband distribution. So we just did the absolute best we could, reboot everything as fast as we could, staying calm, which is why it went faster. Because usually when you lose yourself in the middle of it, you just slowed everything down by coming mentally undone. It's always better to stay mentally together and make the best out of that situation than make it worse by losing your train of thought, losing your focus and everything else, and being angry that it didn't happen at that specific time frame that you wanted. Go ahead, John.
Brother, let's I was going to say let's take this and apply it to some really real world examples that people deal with all the time. Like
Yeah.
I mentioned the one that I overcame with my diet, but I think that's a massive one. You know, when you know, and it took me a while to learn to do this. It was practice. It was like, okay, shit, I've seen this before. Don't make that same mistake. But how many times do we know people who, you know, they didn't have time to meal prep, or they just, you know, they lost their meal, the dog ate, whatever the reason is. And that one thing is what prompts them to have this kind of spiraling negative reaction where it takes a little problem and turns it into a massive one.
Massive problem. Yeah.
Yeah. And when we can, I mean, let's talk about that, brother.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I was kind of referring to earlier is you take a little problem and you let it affect you so much, it literally ruins the day or makes the problem 10 times worse, which costs you even more time to dig out of that issue. I saw that happen more times in the beer business.
Well, where did you see that personally? But like me, the last place, I mean, I shouldn't say the last, but the one that was the hardest for me to overcome was with food. Did you have one of these two that was really difficult for you to overcome?
Well, yeah, my self-standards, you know, and like having to get orders in on time and get them done perfectly and stuff like that
and just so everybody knows, he's talking about when he worked when he worked with beer. That's so it's a different kind of timeline in his life for people that don't know.
Yeah, so there's a certain time of the day where all the orders have to be punched in and sent to the warehouse to start them pulling, or they will get very upset and lose their mind. And sometimes you're out in the trade, and this is back probably 15, 20 years ago when we actually had to take our computer and put it up to the phone and hit the button, and you hear all this beep, you know, sometimes we didn't have access to the phone, or something would go wrong, and then the warehouse is stuck, you know, waiting for our orders to come in, and they pull things in a certain order with the way they load the trucks. Well, if we're late, it kind of messes those things up. And so there's a lot of pressure to be done on time and get orders punched and get everything put into the system. But at the end of the day, as long as we get it all done as quickly as we possibly can, they're going to make the best of it. And we have to apologize and move forwards. But if you fold to that pressure and you're sitting there punching the orders, instead of just staying calm and just keep punching the orders, if you fall to that pressure, it's going to slow you down tenfold. Whereas if you just relax and start moving through it, you'll end up going way faster than you thought you would, and you get done.
So what you're saying is that negative reaction per se actually kind of cluttered your brain, so you couldn't be efficient, so you couldn't meet your timeline.
100%, because you're under that pressure of needing to be done. And it's kind of like that way with so many things in life. I mean, you want to stick to that frame, that time frame, that ending or whatever as best you can. But at the end of the day, you know, you're going to get it done. So stay positive. You'll get it done quicker. Keep your mind focused. It'll be a much smoother process. And at the end of the day, you're going to be much more successful than you would if you lose your mind and it costs you 30 minutes instead of 2.
So let's talk about training, brother, because I know I used to have a huge issue with this. I don't know if you did as well. We never talked about this before, but we all suffered to a certain extent. When I was young, before I knew what the fuck I was doing, you know, of course, we're all big on bench press. Everyone's a big bench. And so I'd start off my bench press with first exercise. And if I didn't meet my expectations, it just was like such a damper on my state of mind. And literally what would happen, and this happened to me for years, and I thank God someone pointed out because I didn't know I was doing it, but after I would not get that bench press set I was looking for, I was in such a downer mood, the rest of my workout would severely suffer. Yeah. And now I'm not making progress because, you know, if I didn't hit that number, then everything else was going at about 60% because I was such a sourpuss. And I think lots of people make this mistake. They gauge, you know what, the thing that I say to get away from that is if you gauge your effort, not the number, That saves you from the fact that, hey, the number is going to pop up one day and you're going to be like, holy shit, but you've just been focusing on your effort, because if you focus on your effort, you'll always have a good workout. And if you're always having good workouts, those numbers are going to fly.
Yeah. Well, 100%. Yeah. I did that. I think we all do to a certain degree.
So be a little descriptive of something. Like mine was the bench press. Did you have a certain exercise or a certain anything that kind of was your trigger? Like bench press was mine. I was like 19 when I was doing this to myself. It was brutal.
Yeah, squats. I mean,
squats.
For me, it was squats. I was always a pretty decent squatter, and if those numbers didn't go right, and some of it was me not writing at that time. I mean, we're talking, oh God, like 37, 38 years
we're
ago.
Talking like in the freaking late 80s.
Yeah. I mean, when I was really just starting to kind of get into writing my own programs and like setting up things, and I would set jumps. I had a goal. I wanted to squat like 730 pounds at this meet. So never mind, the state record was was like 699 or something, and all I needed was 705. I wanted to go to 733. So I'm like writing all this stuff, and I'd miss my squat, and I'd be all mad and angry and frustrated, and it would kind of like ruin the rest of it. And then I'm kind of
you're talking about a meet.
Yeah, well, getting ready for a meet, like
getting ready for. Okay, gotcha. Yeah,
and so it would kind of like ruin the rest of the workout. And after a while, I'm like, you start coming to think, why am I banging my head on this? Just keep staying consistent, keep plowing through it. Okay, I was supposed to squat 683 tonight, but I did 660 on the one before that. It felt pretty solid, and then 683 was just a little bit too much. And okay, 660 was still pretty good. Let's move on to the rest of the workout and, regroup for next week. And once I did that, everything started going better. Once I realized, the goal is to hit a number, but if you don't achieve that goal, but you still get a good workout in the process and you're still building, it just might not be building at the pace that you wanted.
And a lot of times it could be building at the pace you wanted. You just don't recognize it because you're too focused on the number.
Well, yeah. Exactly. Or like back then I used to rollerblade everywhere. Or I just skated like an extra 4 miles before I got to the gym, and my legs were didn't have the common sense to not understand that
blood sugar wasn't quite chock full of the glycogen you needed because you ripped it out of there on the way to the gym.
Correct. Correct. Because I'm rollerblading down the middle of Katati. So
So let's go into another real world example. Like I know for many of my clients and just people in general, a lot of times they're trying to give up a vice. Let's just use alcohol as a simple one, right?
Oh boy.
And so what I see a lot that happens with people, and this is, I kind of give them different techniques to help them do what I'm about to explain, is let's just say it's beer. They're trying to give up drinking except for on the weekends. And then they have a drink on a Tuesday night. They have a beer on a Tuesday night. Oh, fuck it. Now I'm just going to have 6, right? Well, that's that whole shit. I did one. I already fucked up. Let's just make this little problem a big problem. Of course, that's what they're saying, but that's what they're doing. Yeah. So the magic in this situation is maybe you had 2, maybe you had 3, but you have to recognize this. You must exercise your brain's ability to get out of that situation. Don't just end up having 6 and mail in and say, fuck, I guess I fucked up. Take accountability. Yes, I fucked up, had 1. And halfway through number 2, I got a grip on myself and I threw the second one away, and I'm not going to make this mistake tomorrow. Yes, you didn't make it worse. And granted, you did fuck up, but you exercise your ability to hit the brakes in the middle of the problem. That is a massive skill. And if you can learn that skill, that skill will apply itself to anything. And that's, in my mind, that's what made sense to me. Okay, God damn it, I'm fucking up and I'm accelerating into this problem when I really need to be fucking hitting the binders and slowing it down. Yeah. So ask yourself, what are you doing? You find yourself in one of those situations. Are you accelerating into the problem, or are you trying to hit the brakes so you can back out? Yeah,
and probably backing out is what's going to progress you forwards faster than going through the whole thing and destroying everything and then coming back. It's kind of like when you're trying to you're trying to get the 683, and like you lift it off instead of being smart, like you lift it off and you're like, and trusting what you're thinking, you know, you go hit it, and then all of a sudden you might come up with it, but now you strain something. Now you just set yourself 3 to 4 weeks back. That is where you have to like minimize the damage and move forwards. And you going after something in frustration is just not the smartest thing to do.
The damage is done. Now it's kind of like, okay, we're bleeding. The key is to stop the bleeding. Let's not make this so fucking bad we bleed to death.
Exactly.
Yeah, stop the bleeding. that was actually a term that was given to me on the golf course. You know, because when I was learning to golf, you fuck up one shot, and I'd get frustrated. I'd walk up and I'd fucking just rip the next one because I was so pissed off. Yeah. And there, you know, the guy that was teaching me to golf, he's like, dude, you're bleeding to death. You know, you cut yourself on the first one that went out of bounds. Now, when you drop that ball, don't make the cut worse. You know, put a Band-Aid on it. Just stay in play. You know, and that analogy made sense to me. So find these different things that you can say to yourself to identify the situations and what you need to do, rather than just taking that emotional reaction and going off of the deep end of the situation.
Yeah,
you know?
When you make a mistake, you have to have a very short memory and a very long memory. You don't want to. You want to have a short memory because you want to put it away. And you want to have a long memory because you don't want to make that mistake again. So if you make a mistake, have a short memory, but also have the long memory. Don't make the same mistake twice.
Yeah, that's good, because, you know, if you think about it, as human beings, one of the biggest problems that we have is we repeat mistakes very regularly. And because we repeat them so often, they become normal to us. And we don't even recognize that we're doing them. And that's where sometimes it's really helpful to have somebody else help you audit yourself, because they're going to see things that you don't. Like my wife is a big one on that. I tell her, look, I need you to be honest. I need you to call me out on the shit that I don't see. And she's good at it. And because first off, when she does it, I don't get mad. You know, if I'm going to get mad, I'll tell her, this is not about you. I'm mad at myself right now. You know,
right.
You know,
which is really smart on John's part, to be quite honest with you, because people do take that the wrong way. We will hold ourselves accountable when it's brought into our, and we will get more upset at ourselves and take it more out on ourselves. We're usually frustrated at something that we did. We're not mad at you. You know, so
100%.
Sorry, John. Didn't mean to.
No, so that's good stuff, brother. I mean, all of these conversations apply to so many different. It's that we could never really take this conversation and apply it to everything. So the more we do, the better. You know, but ultimately, if you can, this problem right here is something that most people really. I know I never got rid of it. I just learned to manage mine. Right. And so it's the question is, have you identified it and are you managing this? And what is this? What we're describing is the fact that you like one little mistake or one little difficulty, one little piece of adversity turn into a big problem or a big piece of adversity because of how you dealt with it. Yeah. That right there. I mean, if we can learn to control this, and again, that goes back to the muscle in our minds, the muscle in our heads and our brains, we have to exercise stopping the bleeding. Yeah. We have 100%. To exercise keeping that shortfall or that shortcome or that problem or that adversity little rather than making it big. It's almost like if you're trying to put out a fire, right? A campfire, you want to dump water on it. You dump gasoline on it, you know it's going to get bigger. And that's basically the difference right there. You have to decide, what am I, you know, what kind of liquid am I dumping on this campfire right now? Right.
And water's far better to dump on a fire than gasoline.
Yes.
Gasoline will definitely make it explode. I clearly recall, I got this friend who's Canadian, and to be honest with you, I had no business ever beating the guy. Ever. And I competed with him probably 10, 15 times. He is just unbelievably strong. Like, just but he would come apart. One little mistake in the first event, second event, or even third event in his sixth
never
event
contest, never get back to himself.
And never get back to himself. And he'd leave the door open, and he'd end up, he'd end up fourth, fifth, sixth when he should have won the contest. All he had to do is be like, okay, well, that was one event. It's over. Because I had to do that every time I did. My overhead pressing has never been great. And I had to do that in every contest I went into. I'm like, okay, I'm going to mitigate the damage on this. And then I'm just going to come after each event with everything that I have for all the rest of the events. And we're going to see where that goes. And a lot of times I was up near the top or I won. So you can't let things like that get in your head, because once you do, the game's over.
Yeah.
Literally game over.
I don't know what it is about the Canadians, brother, because when you're telling the story, I'm thinking of one myself that I competed with, but I think he was retired when you got in. So there's probably, a few of them.
There's two of them that I can think of that are like that.
Yeah, so we won't put the names in there, but if we go a little deeper, for anybody who knows strongman, you'll understand.
Yeah. I lost you, John. Hello. I lost you guys. Hello. And this is another round of unmitigated circumstances. So while we're here, let's see here. So I'll stay calm and I'll text them. Lost you guys. Keep rolling it. Okay. So apparently I'm the one that's on and John is frozen. But look, you want to mitigate all your circumstances as best you can. You really do. And not losing your head, keeping focused on what you're doing is in the end is going to get you where you need to be. Might not be as high as you wanted to be, but it'll get you where you needed to be, and you'll be far more successful in the end. So when things go wrong, stay calm, don't lose your head, and move forwards. It's just that plain. It's just that simple. And no, it is not easy in the slightest. Not easy in a little bit. So John has lost the power to his Wi-Fi. And so in regards, we're going to wrap this up with keep your head, stay focused, and have fun. And at the end of the day, it's not life-threatening. So go through things, take care of business, and get it done. Keep your head as things go wrong and move through it. And everything in your life is going to be far more better. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So they're sending more stuff. It looks like he's trying to get back on here. So I'll wait another minute or so for John to get on. And if not, I'll wrap it up for you guys. I appreciate you. I love you guys. And thank you so much for watching us. And again, we're dealing with adversity, but we're just keeping our head, dealing with the issues as it goes on, and moving through it. So, but at the end of the day, just be good to each other. Enjoy things and don't freak out when things go wrong. Just do what you can to keep your head and correct the problem to the best of your ability. And that's kind of like our advice for today. Here he comes. There he is. John is back on his cell phone.
Can you hear me?
I like it. Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Are you able to hear me, brother?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear
beautiful. Yeah, I had the power went out. Literally, did you see when I was talking, all of a sudden it just went dark? Yeah. So I'm on my phone here. So thank you. We made it back. We're just about ready to wrap this baby up. So
yeah, I was kind of in the process of starting to do that because I didn't know if you guys were coming back or not. And you're frozen again. So anyway, in dealing with adversity, do the best you can to keep your head together. It's going to make you do much better in the end. It looks like John's coming back. Here he is. There he went. Okay. So one more time. So we'll wait for John another half a second here. Close it out. Okay. So anyway, all right, there you are, John. You there? You there, bud? I can see you.
Okay. Shit.
So I've been waiting for you to wrap it up. So let's wrap it up then.
Let's wrap it up, baby. What are the words of wisdom? You give the words of wisdom, because I'm afraid I'm going to dump out of here.
Well, I just was. So
good.
Basically,
Well,
words of wisdom are just going to be keep your head. Keep your head when going through adversity. You're going to end up with a far better situation than you were if you lose it. Throw gas on a fire and make everything worse.
That's it.
So
that's exactly right. So that being said, everyone, just remember, it's only a little problem only turns into a big one if you allow it to.
Correct.
That's it, everyone. We'll see. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We're having them to get in and we're having them to get out. But again, we're not letting a little problem turn into a big one. So we will see you next week, same time, same place. And remember, if you want to check out what we're doing with offering coaching, click the link below. Even got a 7-day free trial. And we make it really affordable to help those of you guys that want some help, that are having some financial struggles, because we want to be a part of the solution, not the problem.
Correct.
That being said, everyone, thank you for checking us out. We'll see you next week, same time, same place.
See you next week. That was great examples that we were doing live.
We had, that was crazy. We had it coming in and coming out. I guess that was like the perfect.